This week, we continue our look at Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, the newest addition to 5e Dungeons & Dragons.
And we're talking about the Barbarian and the Path of Wild Magic.
Support the Dungeon Masters Dojo by heading over to Apple Podcasts and Podchaser and leave a review. Take the time to leave a comment as well. This helps make us more searchable to those listeners interested in content such as ours. But more importantly, we want to know how we are doing and what topics you would like to hear about.
Another way you can support the DMD is by buying the DMD a beer, so we can continue to deliver quality content to you, our listeners. This also helps us upgrade and replace equipment. Head over to buymeacoffee.com/thedmd and buy us a beer, or 3, or 5. Don't forget to say something nice or mean. We don't care. You're buying us a beer. Now on to this week's episode.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Dungeon Masters Dojo podcast. This is a show for game masters and players alike. We hope to bring you tips and tricks to elevate your game and develop the art of dungeon mastery. I'm your host, Louis Aponte, and these are your Dungeon Masters, Scott Labby and Bill Robotile. Let's enter the dojo and see what they have in store for us today. Hey Scott, hey Bill.
How, Dao we won again! This is good. But what is best in life?
The open steppe, fleet horse, falcons at your wrist, and the wind in your hair.
Wrong!
Scott!
What is best in life?
To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
That is good. That is good.
Good morning, and how are you doing this beautiful spring-like day?
He's excited because today we are going to talk about Lou's all-time favorite Barbarian Primal Path. Isn't that right, Lou?
He's practically drooling. He's so happy.
I really, I can't get behind this class at all.
You don't like it?
No. It's not what I'm used to, which was, if we go back to 2nd edition, Barbarians did not like magic weapon items, and that's where my mind set is at. And this guy just, I don't know, I don't like it.
I'm going to try to put a positive slant on it for you, Lou, because I don't like seeing you like this. You're usually very effervescent, upbeat, jovial. You look like you need a hug. Hold on.
Can I have a drink instead?
I'm going to take off my headphones over there and give Lou a hug. This is going to be cathartic, Lou, and you're allowed to cry.
Okay. I need to cry.
All right, I'll be right back.
Okay. While they are violating any and all social distancing rules, he's giving him a hug. Okay. All right. Yeah, well, I'm glad to see you put your shirt over your face to pretend you have a mask. That was touching.
I feel a little bit better.
But see, what I'm going to do is make room on the buckboard up here on the old wagon, because I got someone who's going to jump up here with me and equally bash this class or the subclass along with me. So yes. I'm happy to have company up here on the bandwagon. So
I would just like to piggyback on something Lou said about alluding to being an old grognard, which the three of us are.
Yes.
And what we're used to in a barbarian.
Yes.
All right.
Big, tough, gruff.
Here we go. I grew up with, as we all did, the pulp stories of Robert E. Howard and the beloved Conan of Samaria.
Good old days.
Around 1982, Conan the Barbarian with the great Arnold Schwarzenegger, all 260 pounds of 7% body fat and massive muscle, hit the screen in such barbarian splendor that I wept.
He still has the posters on his wall in the bedroom.
I do.
Much to his girlfriend's dismay.
And now, on page 26 of Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, we have the Wood Elf Barbarian of Wild Magic, who's dressed like Sailor Moon.
This is another reason why I can't get behind this class.
And has a ponytail, but not a fierce barbarian ponytail, not like a Khal Drogo braid, where it's like 8 feet long, because he's He's slain countless hundreds of people in manly battle. But no, this is like...
The girls had a sleepover and said, let me do your hair.
Yeah. And he's smiling.
I was about to say the same thing. And
So-
it looks like he's skipping sideways.
If I saw Sailor Moon Barbarian coming at me with the big smile, like it looks like he's skipping, carrying Conan's sword, barely carrying Conan's sword, I would not be impressed, nor would I be fearsome. Now I am a fat, out of shape old man, but still, that gambling.
You don't find this intimidating?
I do not. I do not.
Oh.
I would send him back to his room to think about running around with my sword
And his sister's skirt.
and because that just doesn't the outfit doesn't match.
No, it doesn't.
Match. Are you accessorizing? Is that it?
So that is my issue with the Path of Wild Magic. I would it just doesn't do it for me. Like I would be thinking someone like what was his name in the Conan movies? The wizard that lived in the hut, kind of on the stilts. He had the little tug of war with the other like wizard in Conan the Destroyer.
I'm horrible with names.
And the actor's got one. The actor is such a badass. He only needs one name. That's it. He's like Cher, Madonna, Roseanne. Only he's a guy. He's got one name, and I keep forgetting.
So you're the name guy. I'm not. Oh, jeez, his eyebrows are smoking. He's thinking so damn hard.
I think he was in Big Trouble in Little China too.
Lou's furiously trying to find it on the laptop. Coincidentally, you would never see him in a frilled piece of clothing.
No, he'd be wearing animal hides.
Yes, orange stripes.
Maybe that's a Path of the Wild Magic.
Mako,
yes.
Mako.
I knew it was a shark name. Yeah, Mako. Someone like him, who wasn't the character, but the actor portraying the character, in animal hides and stuff like that.
Yep.
But not
Sailor Moon.
Catholic school outfit, wood elf barbarian. So shame on you, Wizards of the Coast, for making an unintimidating looking barbarian. I'm sure the barbarian's wonderful to be around because he's smiling even while attacking. So, I mean, that's like, maybe he's the upbeat person in the office, the one that's always positive where you're just like,
Good
oh my
morning.
God, can you be miserable just a little bit once?
A morning person.
Yeah.
This is the morning person barbarian. Yes.
Like I said, I guess for me it's because they just have so much magical influence running through their frail self.
Well, not for nothing. I was never a big fan of wild magic in the first place. I think it fun now being the continuity master and being the rules lawyer, and I'm not the story person. I'm the mechanics person. So for me, I like all my soldiers in a row, and even though I don't run a static campaign, I think that way.
Yep. And
the wild magic is just that. It's wild magic, and it is very, very disruptive.
But this is not really wild magic because there's nothing that can inherently go wrong.
No. What I'm saying is originally that's why I don't like wild magic. So I find myself skewed in not necessarily a favorable light on this particular subclass because of its affinity to wild magic. And you're right. It's a very short list of what. It's not the 100 items or whatever that was in the original ones.
It's very benign too.
It's just 8 items, and I think probably the only thing there that I've seen that would probably is the teleport.
I don't know, but let's
let's talk about this and see if I can change your mind. I know I'm not going to change Bill's mind because that's Bill, but Lewis,
you have hope there.
I have hope.
I am setting my ways so firmly. Many places in the multiverse abound with the beauty, intense emotion, and rampant magic. The Feywild and upper planes and other realms of supernatural power radiate with such force and can profoundly influence people. Except me.
Except Bill. One of these days, Bill. One of these days. I have faith. So they describe barbarians as folk of deep feeling, which I think is accurate, and that they're especially susceptible to these wild influences. I want to talk about it now, but I'm not going to. So these wild magic suffused barbarians walk this path of wild magic. So at third level, you get this magic awareness, right? So as an action, you can open your awareness to the presence of concentrated magic. It's like you're looking for it. Maybe you're focusing on ley lines or something. Maybe you just kind of feel the magical thrum of the world that you're living in.
You have magical spidey sense.
Yeah. That's pretty much how.
That's how I interpret it. You have magical spidey sense.
Yeah, maybe you get the goosebumps, or your hair kind of stands up on the back of your neck or whatever. You just this primal kind of.
You feel a tug on your ponytail.
Yeah, it's probably the kid sitting behind you dipping it in an inkwell. There's only a small number of people listening that will understand what that is.
That's the 37% of the 45 years or older of our listenership. God bless you guys.
So when you sense a spell, you learn which school of magic it belongs to. So you know the location of any spell or magic item within 60 feet of you that isn't behind total cover. So you kind of feel.
That's what I call bullshit.
That for me that's a little much. Like I would think like I can sense the magic, right? I can feel the magic that's around me. Magic is a natural thing, I think, and the world is permeated with it. I can sense the magic, and I could kind of maybe tap into that, much the way a sorcerer does, and kind of bend the magic to my will, or I can use myself as a conduit for the magic to flow through, and what comes out the other end, who knows? But it just seems like, okay, I can find a spell. That seems a lot like...
And know what it is.
And know what it is.
And know what it is.
Like, well, at least the school of magic.
Right.
You may not know the exact spell, but the school. And depending on the situation, that could tell you quite a bit before you even get hit by the spell.
Hogwash.
Yeah.
To me, it's just this is just a I would say a lighter form of detect magic.
It is. I see it as like a video game almost, where you're running around like grabbing mana or something like that to fill your spell bar back up with.
I think I would call it, instead of detect magic, I'd call it aware of magic.
Okay.
Yeah, like a magical awareness.
That makes sense.
Yeah, just like it says in the name.
Yeah.
And you can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and after a long rest, you get it all back.
Yay. At third level, you also get a wild surge, because as if it isn't wild enough, magical energy roiling inside you sometimes erupts from you. When you enter your rage, roll on the wild magic table to determine the magical effect produced. The effect requires a saving throw DC of 8, plus your proficiency bonus, plus your constitution modifier. And then there is a list of 8 items on this particular magic effect.
And I want to point out that there's nothing detrimental on this list either.
No, wild magic of previous editions was kind of like a white knuckle ride,
you can go from butterflies to lightning bolts.
Yeah, and it could be pretty rough. It was very very unpredictable.
And a lot of it was detrimental to yourself.
Yeah, it was wild.
It was wild.
Yep.
Yeah, some of it was detrimental to the people around you, but whether it be friend or foe. A lot of it was not harmful at all. It was all effect. But yeah, you could end up like bitch slapping yourself pretty hard. And you're right. And there's really nothing on here that your rage ended. Oh, okay, that's it. Ooh, wow.
I mean, if they are going to use this table, I hope people put in some not so, I won't say detrimental things, but things, if you want to give your barbarian advantage, I would make it so everybody, like it would be like a rain of flowers, petals. But this way, everybody gets the disadvantage now. Something a little bit, it's not going to hurt everybody too bad.
Yeah.
It's not really, I should say, harmful physically, but when you're trying to attack some, even your comrades now are trying to attack some, they're going to get that same disadvantage.
Potpourri fog.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I get why they do it the way they do, because, a lot of people would be turned off by the way Wild Magic was in previous editions.
See, I liked it. I really did like the old Wild Magic.
Yeah,
I guess that's because I'm from the old school.
It was just fun. It was fun to play around with the table. It wasn't always beneficial. And sometimes it could go south real badly, but it wasn't all benevolent. It wasn't all benign.
Right, but when you're not trained, and especially at third level, if you're not trained at all, it shouldn't be all something that's beneficial. There should be a little bit of something in there that will either slow you down, give you some disadvantage or something somewhere along the line. Everything here is beneficial. I'll let you go through a list, and we'll talk about them after.
Yeah, you get. We'll run through the magical effects. Shadowy tendrils lash around you, so each creature of your choice that you can see within 30 feet of you must succeed on a Constitution saving throw or take 1d12 necrotic damage. You also gain 1d12 temporary hit points.
Yeah, so you do damage and you get hit points back.
Yep.
All right. Number 2, you teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. Until your rage ends, you can use this effect again on each of your turns as a bonus action.
So, does that mean you can attack and then poof away?
It's a bonus action.
It's a bonus action, so yeah.
So again, beneficial.
Yep.
Yay, I'm a crazy blink dog.
An intangible spirit, which looks like a flumph or a pixie, your choice, appears within 5 feet of one creature of your choice that you can see within 30 feet of you. At the end of your current turn, the spirit explodes, and each creature within 5 feet of it must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or take 1d6 force damage. Until your rage ends, you can use this effect again, summoning another spirit on each of your turns as a bonus action. Why a flumph or a pixie?
Because they're not seen as dangerous?
Pixie I would see as dangerous.
I don't know. I find them pretty tasty. Well, that's Yarrow speaking.
Yes. I don't know why. Maybe because they're not really dangerously looking. I don't know.
A flumph certainly isn't. I mean, with a name like Flumph, though. I mean,
Flumph.
Yeah, just.
Is that what it sounds like when it explodes? Flumph.
A poof. I get the impression this is very Sylvan oriented.
Very Fey.
Yeah.
Fey touched.
I can't see anybody in the mountain ranges of Samaria, casting exploding flumph on an enemy, but it'd work. In a Sylvan kind of campaign, a Fey geared campaign. I'm gonna convince you, Lou, that this has its place and the suck factor is not as bad as you think.
We'll see.
All right, here, let me pretend I'm helping. Number 4, magic infuses one weapon of your choice that you are holding. Until your rage ends, the weapon's damage type changes to force, and it gains the light and thrown properties with a normal range of 20 feet and a long range of 60. If the weapon leaves your hands, the weapon reappears in your hand at the end of the current turn. 60 feet throw. So let's huck my sword, and it'll just pop back in my hands.
Not bad.
Not liking either.
Whenever a creature hits you with an attack roll before your rage ends, that creature takes 1d6 force damage as magic lashes out in retribution. There's fun stuff you can do with this. Really, really, really fun stuff.
Okay, yes, there probably is. If you're going to play this in a one shot, maybe 2 or 3 day campaign or whatever, I just can't see playing this thing for a long period of time. And I call it a thing because this is not something I would play.
You're starting to sound like me.
I could see that. Yeah, that's terrible. I can see this going on for a long period of time. I really can. I'll trust me on this.
All right, well, number 6. Until your rage ends, you are surrounded by multicolored protective lights. You gain a +1 bonus to AC, and while within 10 feet of you, your allies gain the same bonus.
Fairy fire, kind of. It reminds me of fairy fire.
Well, fairy fire was just to help you target things.
This reminds me of like a small prismatic wall.
Prismatic wall.
Maybe that's what I was thinking of, yeah.
Beginning of a prismatic wall. Again, Nothing detrimental.
Maybe the next one.
Flowers and vines temporarily grow around you until your rage ends. The ground within 15 feet of you is difficult terrain for your enemies.
Again, for your enemies.
Yeah, I just thematically, I don't see.
I see rose bushes.
Someone going into a rage and then flowers
and
growing.
Yes. Urgh! Poof.
Roses.
Daisies.
Yeah.
Rose bushes.
Rose bushes. Wow. And number 8. A bolt of light shoots from your chest. Another creature of your choice that you can see within 30 feet of you must succeed on a Constitution saving throw or take 1d6 radiant damage and be blinded until the start of the next turn. Until your rage ends, you can use this effect again on each of your turns as a bonus action.
I don't even know what to say.
I'm going to say that with the wild magic, here's where I think the wild part comes into it, is that you don't know what, you're not like casting a spell per se. You have no formal training. You have no necessarily like an inherent ability like a sorcerer. You're just, it's like a subconscious cast. It's the magical energy that's flowing through you manifests itself in certain ways.
Scott made a point. Right. So, would you like something good to happen with you or something good to happen along with you?
Well, so I maybe I'm not understanding the class fully. So you're playing Cal and you're raging. You get to attack with your weapons, and still one of these effects happen?
Yes.
That's what I'm gathering, yeah.
Not liking it.
Would you like a pillow on this board up here on the bandwagon with me?
I think so.
Okay. I want to make sure you're comfortable.
I think it has its place. I do.
We'll see.
We got a little ways to go here. Bolstering magic. You harness your wild magic to bolster yourself or a companion. As an action, you can touch one creature, which can be yourself, and confer one of the following benefits of your choice to that creature. For 10 minutes, the creature can roll a d3 whenever making an attack roll or an ability check and add that number to the d20 roll. Or roll a d3, the creature regains one expended spell slot, the level of which equals the number rolled or lower, creature's choice. Once a creature receives this benefit, the creature can't receive it again until after a long rest.
You get unstable backlash at 10th level, where if you're imperiled during your rage, the magic within you can lash out immediately after you take damage or fail a saving throw while raging. You can use your reaction to roll on the wild magic table and immediately produce the effect rolled. This effect replaces your current wild magic effect.
So basically, they broke you.
I can't get behind this still.
If I read this one, and all I can think is like the needle on your LP, skipping back to like a couple verses.
Oh, yeah, yep. That's way back. Yeah. I had to think for a second.
LPs are making a comeback.
Yeah, they are. We have a bunch. I have a bunch of vinyl still.
Yep.
I was told that by someone. I was having a discussion with her. She's 12. And she's like, those plastic records, the round ones. Like the vinyl records from that you play in a record player. She's like, yeah, those are a thing now. I said, they're really a thing? Yeah, I said, people are listening to records? She's like, no, they're just kind of like hanging them on their wall for a vibe, which I guess is like another way to say for like decoration. So you have like, she's like, so, you decorate like it was the 80s.
So you're going to ruin
which was
vinyl.
Which was like, to her, the 1800s. Like people were still dying of the consumption.
For what it's worth, the playing of the LPs is actually getting really, really huge. They started up new plants to print vinyl for records, and actual record player sales have like doubled over the last few years. So they are actually playing the LPs as well.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Controlled Surge, 14th level. Whenever you roll on the wild magic table, you can roll twice the die. Yeah, you can roll the die twice and choose which of the two effects you want to unleash. If you roll the same number on both dice, you can ignore the number and choose any effect on the table out of the massive number of 8.
I'm sure they'll expand.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I hope the DMs or dungeon, whoever's running the game, will will expand, but put something in there that's not so. Everything is so helpful. It's wild magic for a reason.
Rip the entire chart out. Go back to the AD&D book. Grab the original wild magic chart. Throw that in there and grab your percentiles.
I'm happy.
I think you're thinking of this in the same way that you're thinking, like, you're comparing it to AD&D.
Yep. Because that's what I'm used to, with this class, I should say.
Yeah.
They weren't really magic heavy back then.
No. They were very different.
Yeah, and even earlier, I think they had resistance to magic.
They did.
Yes. Yep. Unearthed Arcana. It
Yeah,
was like
so-
1980, 1981, something like that is when it came out. But I think it's, the wild magic here is still, it's kind of like uncontrolled, but it's not as uncontrolled. I think the wild magic chart from AD&D was very much so like the critical hit and critical fumble charts.
Which I always cared for, too.
It was always very chart heavy in
Yep.
previous editions. And I think this is just a way for them to incorporate the wild magic and making it a little more lean. Because with AD&D, those earlier editions, as much as I loved it, it was very, very, very bulky. You were constantly like, I got to, consult the chart for this, or I got to consult the chart for that, or we have to look at our weapon speeds to make sure, it's factor this math in there. And I think this is just a pared down version of what that was back in 1980, whatever it was.
But after saying that, I bet you if we were playing Cal and I went, would you like me to break out the critical hit table and see what kind of... Oh, yeah. Let me get my percentile dice.
That was the only thing that rolled good for him.
So percentile dice, yeah. Well, Call of Cthulhu, I discovered, was my game.
It was your game because
it's
everything had to be
rolled low.
Got to roll low.
I'm like, I got the
low.
dice for this, baby.
You were kicking ass.
12, 1,
14. I think you rolled 7 3 times.
Yeah. This is great.
So convince me. Put this in a campaign and show me why I would like it.
Convince us.
Or how I would like it.
All right, with this wild magic, I would, and this is just at my table. How you do it at your table is how you decide, right?
Yep.
I would bar the wild magic from humans and dwarves, I think, and the reason for that is there's the humans would have probably already established like legitimate schools of magic. If they happen to be barbarians, like on the outskirts of civilization, their magic would probably be a little more shamanistic.
Okay.
Right? Maybe even sorcerers, right? An inherent ability. They wouldn't have any like schools of wizardry or anything like that, but you would see warlocks, right, in barbarian cultures, and certainly sorcerers, right? So wild magic wouldn't really come into play. I don't think halflings would be a good fit for it. Tieflings, yeah. Elves, absolutely. So going with our fantasy woodland theme, I think it would fit in there nicely because this individual could have started off in the Feywild, right? Could have been an elf born in the Feywild, and for some reason, whatever that may be, that character and his parents had to flee the Feywild, or there was a constant back and forth from this plane to the Feywild, so the child was brought back and forth, so they were kind of Fey touched. So they would maybe have that extra attunement to the magic of the world, but maybe have no idea how to control it because there wouldn't be any formal teachings, or maybe the child grew up on its own. Maybe the parents were slain on their way into or out of the Feywild. The child had to kind of grow up on its own, maybe living an almost feral existence and having a natural affinity towards magic and the magic of the world. Here you have someone that grows up, has a lot of the same abilities of a barbarian because they were out in the wilderness the entirety of their life, and they've just, as children are naturally curious. So if they find something, okay, I'll find some magic and I'll fool around with it and, just to see what the effects will be, and they're always different every time, and I have a little bit more control over it, so now the detrimental effects aren't, as bad. I'm not, there's not lightning bolts falling from the sky and toasting people. And I think in that setting, it would be very applicable, especially if it was like a wild elf.
Okay, I'm listening.
Someone that maybe wasn't in a civilized area. I would think if someone had all these magical abilities in a town or a city, someone would be like, we need to get this kid into some sort of training program so they don't kill themselves or somebody else or do a lot of damage to real estate. We'll send them over to the wizard's tower to apprentice under someone. But someone left to their own devices out in the wilderness or something would not have had that opportunity. Maybe it's this feral child running around. And
now you make me feel sorry for this kid.
Yeah, and now here they are. They're still living on the outskirts of these little towns and villages and stuff like that, but they have enough kind of social skills to insert themselves into these somewhat civilized areas so people are aware of them, they know them, they travel in and out, maybe they do a little trading, maybe they're whittling something and selling them or selling hides from their hunt, and they have this inherent magical ability or this attunement to magic, but they do not dress like Sailor Moon.
How did you put it that way? I think I probably would play the class, like I said, for a one-shot. See how it is. Let me ask you this question. In the current campaigns that we've been playing, would you play this character?
In the current campaigns that we've been playing, I don't know that this character would fit.
Well, okay, let's use our Monday night tables. Some of our ones that, we just did one-shots with.
Yeah, I would. No, I'm not really drawn to the character, to be honest with you. I do think it has a place. I would certainly portray an NPC like this. If I had to do any of these barbarian primal paths,
the Path of the Beast.
I think I could have a lot of fun with. I don't know. I would give it a shot. I would have to give it a lot of thought to see. Well, I'm
going to ask the oldest one of us here, Bill.
Yes.
Would you play this character? Let's say it's a one shot.
I would play this barbarian with wild magic as an Aasimar who, being heaven touched, doesn't really give a rat's ass about the mortal man, and the effects that happened. If it's of course I'm not going to hurt myself, so because I'm better than everyone else, and I would just let the effects fly. And I would find it comical and would watch the lesser forms scamper around as the effects went off. And that's how I would play this.
Okay, see, the way he put it, that I can get behind that a little bit.
I think this character would be good for like a companion character.
Comedy support.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to relegate it to a non-serious character, right. But I think that if you like made a Path of Wild Magic barbarian and maybe made him companion to a druid,
elderly druid who's trying to look over him,
yeah, or even another player character,
yeah,
at the table. I think it would fit well depending on what your setting is going to be, like what type of, and that's where it's key for like a session 0 for something like this. We talked with the artificers about this kind of like dystopian post-apocalyptic Eberron thing, and this primal path it really wouldn't work there. But
no.
If you were going, like I would play this character in a Dolmen Woods setting for, I think it was like, was it BX Essentials? It's the old, well, not the old, but the Wormwood zine that they put out in the OSR community.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Something like that. I think it would have a great. I'd have a great time with it. I think, but it have to be the right setting.
And
it would really have to be the right setting. There'd have to be a lot of clarity made in that session 0.
I think the only time I'd really play this is if it came up as a random roll, which I oftenly do when I Iron Man my character builds. It's like, all right, I'm stuck with it. I will play it.
I do. I will write an adventure, and I will do pre-gens.
They're all going to be this.
And not all of them. And I'll let the players pick between a stack of like 10, but Lou has to play the wild magic primal path. No, but I think it's got its place. I think there's a lot of hate coming its way.
You're welcome.
I would want to play with the wild magic chart a little bit. I'd want maybe like 20 spell effects or 30. I'd want, something, let's roll a D20, let's roll a D30.
Right.
I'd see at least 40% of it being detrimental,
And
40% of it being positive, another 20% being basically non-effective.
Neutral, yeah.
You're neutral. And it doesn't have to be like, a lightning bolt blowing down and charring your arm off.
Well, like I said, a bunch of flowers just falling and giving everybody disadvantage.
There's got to be something in there that everyone goes, oh, geez, please don't let them,
Or butterflies.
A foul odor.
Yeah.
Someone grows like donkey ears or whatever. But I think it certainly has its place. I'd fool around a little bit with the wild magic chart. I mean, it still has all the other barbarian abilities,
right?
But it's the if I'm until your rage ends, it wouldn't be or what was it, the one with the flowers? I don't know. While I'm raging, or while the barbarian's raging, I wouldn't have flowers growing. Mushrooms or something like that. It's
spiky thorns.
Yeah,
yeah. But look, a bouquet.
Yeah, I would play around with it a little bit.
I guess
I'd homebrew
what
it.
bothers me too is the light coming out of the chest.
Oh, you want just your armor to have that, right, Mr.
No,
Iron Man?
I really don't even care about the armor too much. I just can't see a beam of light coming out of his chest.
Yeah, I would reskin that a little bit. My interpretation is there's just you tapped into a big fountain of magical energy, and
It's got nowheres to go.
Yeah, I would have it come out the ears and the mouth and the nostrils, and the eyes and stuff.
Go full-blown jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah, something like that. The chest, I don't know. I think that's pretty weak, but I would reskin it. I'm not afraid to do a little reskinning. I think that's an important thing to do. Certainly in that case, giving it a little bit of thought, maybe not a flump for an exploding pixie, maybe something different, a porcupine, or a possum.
Oh, exploding porcupines. I like that. Quills everywhere.
Yeah. Things like that geared towards, the natural world a little bit. But this you could do stuff with. We could have a good time with this.
Well, I think it boils down to we would rewrite this kind of heavily. As is, I don't think I'm attracted to this at all.
This is probably one of my least favorite subclasses.
This one's
is not your father's Barbarian for sure.
No. But yeah, I think we would rewrite this kind of heavy. But as is, it's not something I find myself drawn to. I've made plenty of room on the bandwagon here for Lou to ride alongside of me. You can feel free to come in behind us and chant all the positive things you want. But
I'm not going to give up on it. I could find a place in a story for just about anything.
But I think one of the big takeaways from this, what both Scott and Bill have been saying, especially with this class, make sure it fits the world. Make sure you talk to your GM. Make sure your GM talks to you, because it may not be the right subclass to play. And you just have to understand that sometimes it doesn't fit. So I think that's one of the biggest takeaways that we can take away from like us not liking or caring for the class too much, because it really doesn't fit our world, number one. Number two, even as a GM, I wouldn't care for this class. I think a person would be bored after a while anyway.
That's a good point. I think boredom would kind of come into play with this after a while.
Well, after seeing what the other barbarians could do, all the other barbarians, not just the Path of the Beast, but all the other ones, they have some very interesting thematics behind them. I can't see it on this one. Maybe my imagination just, with Barbarians just doesn't go that far.
I would see, an all Barbarian party, which you could have a blast with, kind of something like the 13th Warrior.
Yes.
But I wouldn't see this Barbarian getting invited.
No.
I just wouldn't. They'd be like, no, you can.
Yeah, no, we get it. You can stand alongside and take the damage just like we. And
you can stay home.
But yeah, I'm sorry, the card's full.
Well, not only that, just that picture. It bothers me.
I think they missed an opportunity to make it look kind of badass.
I think they tried to make them look a little crazy in the vein of the Wild Magic, and it didn't come off that way.
The only thing that's crazy is that smile.
I think Wood Elf or Wild Elf with face paint or a tattoo or something like that.
No, put that smile on a half orc and put them in the same pose, and then you got a whole different critter.
You sure do.
Yep.
Put that smile on a half orc in the same outfit, everything. Just turn it to a half elf or a half orc, and then you have a crazy barbarian.
But it doesn't even give me the crazy vibe when I read this either. So I'm trying to. I don't know if I'm missing something.
I think it's too weak.
I think it's the grognards in us.
Yeah, it's probably the fact that we're just old dudes and we're so ingrained in Barbarians.
A big part. It does. It plays a huge part.
We do try to be open-minded and look at this stuff, but there's some things that when it goes cross-grain, it goes cross-grain. And what little hair we do have left is on the back of our neck, and it's all standing up on end.
Speak for yourselves.
But, the silver fox over here has a full head of hair.
I still think it's that spray-on stuff.
But you know what? Your table may have a totally, totally different take on it.
They may like it.
I know a lot of people look at this going, I want to play this. The Game Master goes, I want you to play this. Yeah, go for it. If it works for you, that's the whole thing. There are dozens and dozens of combinations that you can come between classes and subclasses and races. Put together what works for you, what works well for your Game Master. That's where Session Zero comes in. Have the conversation and go, we can make this work. I know I can play this. And the Game Master goes, I want to write for you. Go for it. And have fun. Don't listen to the grognards all the time.
Yeah, if you were to ask the woman I live with, I'm very seldom right. So don't always listen to me. I may not be given the best advice, but I do think that you could. I'm certain I could write a story for this, and I think a player could have a pretty good time.
No, I'm certain I could write something for it too. I'm certain I could play the hell out of it. I'm also certain I may not like it.
I say this is the one class I don't think I could play.
But I'll play anything that's put in front of me. That comes from the old RPGA days when you used to go to the conventions and you were always handed a pre-gen and you had 15 minutes to figure it out before you played 3.5 hours a session. So I can play anything from the crazy Sailor Moon barbarian to a small animal to a brick. It doesn't matter. I'll play the hell out of everything, but it doesn't mean I'm going to enjoy it.
But here's the good thing.
He's still yelling from the back of the bandwagon.
Oh, here's the good thing.
Tell us.
Next week, we're talking about the Bard. And there's some pretty cool Bard stuff.
That's I happening.
Like. So, and Lou's shaking his head. He's a cranky old man.
Well, we'll get to what I have to say when we talk about the Bard.
All right, let's do that.
And that's our look at Path of the Wild Magic Barbarian. Stay tuned next week when we talk about the Bard.
You're still flustered about this Barbarian.
Yes, I am. I don't like it. I really don't.
I know.
That's going to conclude this episode. Thanks for tuning in and listening. Please subscribe to the podcast for more great content. If you'd like to hear a particular topic, you can reach us on Facebook at the Dungeon Masters Dojo, or you can drop us an email at thedungeonmastersdojo@gmail.com. Thank you, and have a good day.